Hi everyone, I'm Jeff Copeland, and I'd like to welcome you back to Jeff's Nonsport Card Universe, where we look at the history, evolution, and the just plain fun of collecting non-sport cards. Now, tonight's visit is actually going to be fairly short. I have been asked by several viewers to talk about this particular subject. There are plenty of resources available for those who collect sports cards, but what about those of us who are absolutely passionate about non-sport cards? I've been asked, what are your favorite resources in terms of finding out checklists for non-sport sets, information about the non-sport sets, how to collect them, and so on and so forth. So I thought what I'd do just for a couple of minutes here is share with you what I think, for me, are the top resources in looking up information about non-sport cards and non-sport sets. Now, the first that I would mention, I call the grandfather of all non-sport publications. This is the Wrapper. The Wrapper has been serving the non-sport hobby since 1978. The editor is Les Davis, one of the most wonderful men I know. This is an important publication because it is solely devoted to non-sport cards, but in addition to that, inside are wonderful articles written about different non-sports cards and non-sports sets. I've written a few of those myself, but also tons of advertising by people who sell non-sport cards. And the connections you can make through that, the networking through the various people who sell the cards and write articles for the Wrapper, is a wonderful resource. And I would rate this as my number one resource. If you're interested, you can go online and look up the Wrapper and find out subscription information from there. My second favorite source is done by PSA, Professional Sports Authenticators. This is called the SMR, which is short for the Sports Market Report. Now, it is true that most of the material in here is related to sports cards. But on occasion, they have the most elegant looking articles about non-sport cards, especially those that are collected by individuals who put them on the PSA set registry. The particular issue I just happen to have in my hand here, just to show you an example. This has a wonderful article on collecting Pokemon cards. If one is interested in that, you couldn't find a finer article than what is in this particular issue. The SMR is a very slick, very wonderfully put together publication. It's beautiful, it has great eye appeal. Also has a price guide, mostly for sports cards, but they do get into things like population report and value of non-sport cards as well. Third on my list would be by Beckett. It's called The Vintage Collector. And once again, it does emphasize sports cards, but it also has a lot of information, not only about non-sport cards, but the memorabilia and other things related, the artifacts, as it were, related to non-sport cards as well. In this particular issue, just as an example, there's a wonderful article in here about collecting early cards that came with tobacco issues. And I'll just sort of pan this in front of my face here. But you'll notice it has a lot of the packages that cards came in, both sports cards and non-sport cards. So there's a lot in the Vintage Collector that is also wonderful for us in the non-sport universe as well. Next up on my list would be Sports Collector's Digest. Many of you who have been collecting for quite a while probably remember when Sports Collector's Digest was in two pieces, two publications that came out at the same time. And put together, it was like the New York City phone book. It was amazingly comprehensive. Well, again, it deals a lot with sports cards, but the dealers who list ads in here also specialize in non-sport cards. So we do get articles about non-sport cards and a lot of offerings and auctions that deal with non-sport cards as well. Kevin Savage Auctions is always in this particular magazine, and they have their auction listings in there, and quite often they're loaded with non-sport cards. I've been known to get a few in there myself. Now, this is really the Bible for non-sports card collecting. This is called the Sport Americana Price Guide to Non-Sports Cards. It's a wonderful book. It has limitations. The last one was published in 1992, and that was edition number 4. I would still highly recommend that people purchase this because I'll just open this to a particular page here. What it has is it has a checklist for different non-sport sets and illustrations of the cards to show what the cards look like for the given sets. In most cases, there's also a thumbnail description of the set with a little bit of information. There's also a color glossary in the middle showing what the different non-sport cards look like. They're very small images, but it's a very good resource for those into non-sport cards as well. And then last but not least is an online database. It's called the Trading Card Database, and the address is tradingcarddb.com. The Trading Card Database has everything, sports cards and non-sports cards. They have over 12 million cards listed on their database and over 226,000 sets. What I like most about this database is for quite a few of them, especially the non-sport issues, they'll have a gallery. You can click on the link that says gallery, and it will show you what the individual cards look like in each one of those sets. Not for all of them, but for enough of them that it makes it a wonderful resource for those of us who collect non-sport cards as well. All right, so those are the major places I go to when I'm looking for information about non-sport cards and sets. But I have to say, the non-sport universe is full of wonderful people willing to share their knowledge and expertise. That's also true with sports cards, but the non-sport card universe is a little bit smaller, a little bit closer, a little more tightly knit, in my judgment. I know some of the best friends that I've developed in life, I met ages ago because we collected non-sport cards, and we're always sending each other cards, or we're always talking to each other about new ones we discover. It's a very good group of individuals who are all very passionate about the cards and camaraderie, and that's really what this is all about. It's fun to get the cards, but it's best when you develop the friendships that last a lifetime through this as well. So those are my favorite resources. I hope that's helpful to many of you. I'll add a few of these other places I go to look for information in future videos as well. So that's it for this evening. Happy collecting. Have fun with your cards.